This is number 52 in chapter 11. It's looking at recognizing different forces of attraction. And again, in order to recognize a force of attraction, we need to be able to draw the molecule in 3 dimensions. And so with 52, we just want to determine what kinds of intermolecular forces are present in each of these elements or compounds. And so for part A, we're looking at pH3, and pH3 would have a tetrahedral electronic structure, and as a result, it has a dipole, a molecular dipole. And so since it has a molecular dipole, this is known as dipole-dipole forces of attraction. With part B, we're looking at HBr. HBr is a relatively simple structure, just simple bond. And so HBr is an example of an acid, and acids do have hydrogen bonding capabilities, and so this guy actually has 2 different types of forces that we should be concerned about, dipole-dipole, but this guy can also interact in a hydrogen bonding format. Part C is looking at CH3OH, and we can draw that structure in a 3-dimensional perspective. But remember, we want to recognize certain groups. So since this is a polar molecule and does have a molecular dipole, but the fact that we have this OH group signifies that we're talking about hydrogen bonding as its strongest force of attraction. And then lastly, for part D, we look at iodine. Iodine is very similar to HBr. We just have that single bond. This case between the 2 iodines. This would be an example of a molecule not having a molecular dipole. And so since it is lacking a molecular dipole, then we have dispersion forces now as the strongest force of attraction. So I need to be able to draw these molecules and then determine whether they have a molecular dipole or not. If they have a molecular dipole, then they're talking about dipole-dipole forces of attraction. If they do not have a molecular dipole, then we're talking about dispersion forces of attraction. And if we recognize that there's a OH, remember that there are other groups such as NH and CO2H, then that is a molecule that has hydrogen bonding as its strongest force of attraction. That is number 52.